Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Hit the bell, subscribe. We have new content coming out daily. Make sure you subscribe. God bless you guys. The incredible Miranda Devine continues with us. Thank you, Miranda, for going an extra segment. This is just so deep and so interesting. So I'm going to read from this piece. They will note the context that 3 days after the speakerphone called, the then vice president, who was Obama administration's point man for Ukraine, of course, his son was getting paid, was due to fly to Kyiv to address the Ukrainian parliament, known as the Rada, on December 9th, 2015, about, quote, the poison of cronyism, corruption, and kleptocracy. 10 weeks before the call, on September 24th, U.S. Ambassador Jeffrey Pyatt gave a speech about corruption in Odessa in which he targeted Zolokhachensky, pronunciation issues, by name. So, Miranda, the timeline is everything. Can you just walk our audience through the significance and what is the big takeaway from the timeline revelations that we are now able to understand conclusively?
Well, it seems clear from the emails that we've seen on Hunter Biden's laptop that came from the Ukrainians at Burisma to Hunter Biden and Devine, his best friend, who was also on the board with him, that the Ukrainians wanted something for the money that they were paying. They wanted some deliverables, as Vadim Pozharsky described it in one email, laying out exactly what they wanted. They wanted people, high-ranking American administration officials, to come to Ukraine to talk to the Ukrainian government about what a great company Burisma was and what a stellar character the oligarch who owned it, a guy called Mykolai Zlochevsky, was. And so this was expected, and they were becoming very insistent, putting a lot of pressure on Hunter. And, you know, that's ultimately what happened. The Ukrainian government was taking the American officials at their word when they came one after the other, whether it was the ambassador or the vice president, Joe Biden. They would constantly lecture the Ukrainians about corruption. And it is an incredibly corrupt country. It's said to be the most corrupt country in Europe. And so the government there, President Poroshenko, decided that the Americans meant what they said. So he got this new prosecutor out of retirement, this guy called Viktor Shokin, and told him to go after corruption. And of course, the biggest corrupt company at that stage was Burisma. But Burisma was paying the vice president's son $83,000 a month. So just the optics of that is terrible. And Joe Biden has refused to admit that. And ultimately, Joe Biden got the prosecutor fired who was investigating Burisma. And the proof that that was done to help Burisma is that the prosecutor's successor, this new prosecutor, who wasn't even a prosecutor, he was a politician, he was brought in, and the company just got off with a slap on the wrist. It was a sweetheart deal like the one that Hunter Biden's going to go for tomorrow in court.
So Miranda, in closing here, what I think is a macro takeaway from all of your wonderful reporting is the attitude that the Bidens had towards their behavior and believing they were untouchable. Do you find any evidence to this, that the Bidens ever thought this would be discovered, that they would ever be investigated for this? My outsider perspective, it seems as if they were acting as if they are so untouchable, so arrogant, with so much pride. Is that a fair takeaway, Miranda?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this is the way that Joe Biden has always operated. Remember, he's been influence peddling and getting favors from his donors in Delaware for nigh on 50 years since he first became a senator. And Delaware is a particularly strange state, very small, and therefore a senator like Joe Biden is incredibly powerful, especially when he's been there so long.
That's a great point. That's true.
And you've got all these corporations that are incorporated there, a lot of money sloshing around. I don't think he even knows what corruption is anymore. It's just as natural as breathing to him.
That's a great point. They actually have the best anonymous LLC laws in the country. So they actually have by far the most major corporations, entrepreneurial startups, seed funding, VC, they are disproportionately filed in Delaware because they register in Delaware, they protect all of the secretary, treasurer, filer. They're well known for it, and it really makes you think